Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our information session about the Master of Legal Studies program at UCLA School of Law. So I'm Mary Puzakowski, Assistant Director of Graduate Studies. I'm also joined by Executive Director of the M.L.S program, Jason Fisk, and our incredible students here, but I'll let Jason introduce you to them shortly. So today is our part-time student panel with some of our current M.L.S students. It's my favorite type of information session because you can hear directly from the students about their current experience of the program, why they chose the M.L.S program, how their experience has been so far, and tips from them about how they've been able to fit it into their schedule. So about 75 to 80% of our M.L.S students are part-time students. So classes are in the evening. For this coming fall, they will be on Tuesday night and Thursday night starting at 6:30 p.m. And that's to cater for our working professionals. So the part-time program, it can run from 2 to 4 years, just depending on your preference. I will say if you do enjoy hearing from our students today, then I will just invite you to connect with us on our social media channels, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We do like to spotlight our current students as well as our graduates and all the cool and fun things that they're doing. But we also post about information sessions and student panels like this on there as well. So feel free to connect with us at UCLA Law M.L.S. And then a friendly reminder that we are accepting applications now until April 25. So be sure to get your application in. And that's all from me in terms of my introduction. I will now turn it over to Executive Director Jason Fisk and our student panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mary. And thank you everyone for taking the time today to learn a little bit more about UCLA School of Law's Master of Legal Studies program. We spent years developing this program, and we're very excited now to be entering. We're currently in our second year of the program, and we'll be entering our third next year, which we hope you can be a part of. And so we have today two of our fantastic part-time students who are in this program. Our program is built for working professionals, and we know that all of you have many demands and responsibilities, and so we've tried to make the program as flexible as possible while also as practical as possible to advance your career, and so that's been an emphasis point for us. However, a small portion of our working professionals have the flexibility to take a sabbatical. If that so happens to be you, a very small handful of our students do the program full time, which can be completed in 9 months. If that is a remote possibility for you, feel free to watch the recording of the panel we did yesterday, which was our full-time student panel. And one of those students on that panel actually is in that category of a working professional who took a 9-month sabbatical. So just FYI, if you want to check that out, you can view that recording on our YouTube channel. But today is all about our part-time program, which can be completed anywhere between 2 to 4 years. And with us today is Stephanie Hawkins and Matt Kanzik. And thank you so much for taking the time today. So the first question to each of you, and for our attendees today, feel free to chat in your questions at any time in the Q&A box at the bottom right on the Zoom, and we'll be able to answer your questions. Either myself or the panelists can answer the questions that you have. But so for the initial question to our panelists, it's first, if you could introduce yourself and say what your specialization is, what's your job, what company you work at, and that kind of good stuff. And we'll start with you, Stephanie.
Well, hey, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I am the director of partnerships at M.L.S Gaming Club, which is an esports organization running a bunch of different professional gaming teams. Esports is a relatively new industry in the space. So I work with sponsorships every day, working with contracts, giveaway terms and conditions, everything like that. So my focus is business law, and coming at me from all sides every day.
Yeah, well, hi everyone. My name is Matt Kanzik. I am a licensing director at BMG Production Music. So my role is licensing music into TV shows, films, trailers, all that kind of thing. So there's a heavy emphasis on licensing, accompanying contracts that are involved in that kind of thing as well. and I'm specializing in entertainment and media law, which is a fairly obvious direction in relation to what I do.
So the next question that we'll talk about is what I kind of alluded to in the introduction, and that is time. So everyone in our program who's a working professional naturally has a lot of kind of tugs and pulls at them, and whether that be family or work responsibilities, those types of things. How have you been able to fit this program into your schedule, and has it been designed flexibly to kind of make that work for you? Can you talk through that? This time we'll start with Matt.
Yeah, I think the first thing I would say in relation to that is I feel like we're very well prepared at the start of the program in terms of what to expect, both in terms of volume of work and estimated timescales and all that kind of thing. But I think for me personally, it was a case of making sure that I was organizing my weeks effectively. The flexibility side of things, I think, mostly comes from the professors that I've had to date have been very good at outlining what we need to do week to week. So it's a lot easier to plan ahead and say, okay, I have this much to do on Tuesday and this much on Thursday. I'm going to do all this weekend, or I'm going to do Monday night, Wednesday night, whatever fits in. So I think knowing what is expected of us ahead of class and in terms of assessments throughout the semester, that's definitely been the best thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the timing of the classes is really works into my work schedule, right? 6:30 to 9:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so the bigger question really is, when do you have time to do the homework and the assignments per class? Because there is, a sizable amount of reading or writing that you'll have to do. And so, I just block out time on weekends to be able to do that, just because as a learner, I study better in blocks of time versus doing a little bit throughout the week. And there's also the flexibility, like I'm currently doing trying to do the 2-year track. So trying to get all my classes done in 2 years. But if I, at the beginning of the semester, am sitting in a class and thinking, shoot, like work is going to be really intense this year, or this class seems like a lot more than I was expecting, there's always the option to drop a class and go for more of the 3-year, 4-year track. So I appreciate that flexibility, and it's a lot of work. It's definitely a commitment, but I haven't had time to not be prepared for class.
Shifting gears a bit and talking about the courses themselves. So first, what has been your favorite course so far? And then in line with that is for the courses, how applicable have they been to your career, whether that be currently or in the future? Kind of talk me through that. So we'll start with you, Stephanie.
So my favorite class so far has probably been the private law class that we took in our first semester, because it was really the greatest hits of law school. We read a lot of famous cases and we covered just so many different subjects. And so it was really the class that made me feel like, wow, I'm really getting a digestible version of a JD program in just a couple months. And then, that had stuff that was definitely applicable to my career. We spent quite a few weeks on contract law. So there's been some stuff that's come up that I'm like, oh, I remember that class. But it was also great to know all these other subjects that just I felt gave me a very well-rounded understanding of all these different aspects of the law.
I'd actually say my favorite was the public law class that we did. I was doing those two at the same time. Definitely agree that having everything condensed and being able to get the big picture was fantastic. I also think it's a somewhat unique situation to be in, where I know that both of those courses, the professors were actually literally writing the book on those classes, which is as good a place as any to be learning about those things. And in terms of applicability, I think that all my professors to date have been very clear on what the objectives of the various students are within the M.L.S program. So they're very quick to draw conversations and topics back to how this might relate to what we're doing. I've definitely similarly, found that contract law has been something which I've been able to apply immediately and at least have a better understanding of. But yeah, I think there's a very conscious awareness of what we're doing and making sure that everything we're learning is appropriately tailored so that we can use it day to day.
All right, very good. So the next thing we'll talk about is the community that exists in the Master of Legal Studies program. So talk to me about your experience with that. How has the cohort been, and how have the people been who are your fellow students inside the program and in your classes? Starting with you, Matt.
Yeah, I think yourself and the rest of the team have made a lot of effort to make sure that, you know, given the unusual circumstances of the last year, we've been able to interact with each other. And I think we're all of a type where the fact that we're doing this program means that we're keen to meet new people and make the most of relationships. But, you know, aside from the professional advantages, which are definitely great within this, there's a lot of support within the teams, within the classes and the cohorts of being able to help each other, whether that's study groups or, you know, just conversations on the side about particular topics. It's definitely a close-knit group. And I think also, just relating back to the earlier questions, there's a lot of empathy within those groups about how everyone's managing their workload and their time. And I think there have been a lot of instances where myself or friends within the program have said, you know, is anyone else struggling at the moment, or is anyone else finding work a bit heavy? And inevitably someone else is, and you can always find a way to either ride that patch out or as Stephanie has said, maybe adjust what your commitment is and spread it out a bit.
Yeah, I'd agree. Definitely that shared experience, whether it's a debate talking about something that you've had in class, or whether it's just commiserating together on a particularly difficult week. I think that has really made us a close-knit group. And I also just love the variety of backgrounds we get in class. You know, we've got people in human resources, entertainment law, business law, tech, education, like everything. And so I think that really makes a lot of the input we get in class really, 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 really valuable. And they're definitely, you know, is a tight knit community, and just really intelligent, amazing people that it's great to network with. And, you know, I know people put and stuff. So that's been really cool to see.
All right, very good. And for the last question that we'll talk about today, before turning it over to the questions from attendees, is so everyone who's here today watching, we do have a few of our admitted students, but generally the people who are here today are prospective students thinking about applying to this program. What tips do you have for them as far as in their thought process of if they should do this program, and if UCLA is the right place for them to do this program? So starting with you, Stephanie.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to think about whether this is the right fit for you. Do you deal with legal issues every day? Or do you just want to be able to have intelligent conversations with your legal counsel when certain issues pop up at work? I know for me, I was kind of deciding between an MBA and this program, and ended up going for this program because I deal with kind of business law every day, and it just felt so much more relevant. I kind of felt like the law would be one course I might take under my MBA versus this much more intensive, holistic kind of study of it, which I think is super valuable. And I know I've gotten a lot of support internally from my work as far as one, understanding that I'm going to such a prestigious school like UCLA Law, and two, that this is a rather unique program that's going to benefit my company very much as well.
Yeah, I think the internal support, talking to your employer if you're currently with one, is key to this. I definitely was encouraged by the response that I had when I raised this with my employer in terms of the potential benefits that even I hadn't thought of when I was looking through the program. I also think there's a lot of material given out to prospective students on this, and it's very well put together and it's very well thought out. So I think you can get a very accurate picture of what it's going to be like from that material. And lastly, we were talking about the community within this. I know that myself and plenty of others are always happy to discuss this kind of thing as well. I think if there are any questions, there are lots of people you can reach out to, whether it's students or faculty. But yeah, I'd definitely say seeing where it can tie into your current career, whether that's the role you're in now or what you're aiming for in the future, because I found that has definitely helped me with some of the periods where maybe the material has been a little bit harder to get through, and thinking of it in the context of what I want to be doing, and that's definitely provided added motivation at times as well.
All right. Well, Stephanie and Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to share your experience about the program so far with us today. The next question is about J term. So J term is at the law school is basically a short condensed term that happens in between the fall and the spring semester. So we at UCLA Law are on semesters. So UCLA, of course, is on quarters, but the law school is on semesters. And J term kind of slides right in between the fall and the spring for 2 to 3 weeks for students. That's totally optional, but it's basically just like taking a condensed class during that time. Stephanie or Matt, did either of you take J term this year?
Yeah, I did. So yeah, I did take J term, and I think you do get a couple months under your belt before you even have to make the decision about J term, which was nice. And so I ended up taking, as I said, I'm in esports, and there was actually an esports class with a visiting professor. So I was able to take that, and it was just a great, specific experience tailored exactly to, what I'm doing in my day-to-day work. Now it was a 1-unit class, and I think in J term they raise anywhere from 1 to 3. So I do think, you can consider that when you're looking at the classes available in J term. Mine was definitely lower lift. But one I would love to do next J term, I think like the most highest rated J term class is one that Professor Koropkin does, who teaches private law. It's a negotiation class, but that one is 3 units. So it's really more of a, can you get the necessary time off work to go commit to that? But any student who's done it and has been able to work that out with their workplace has just raved about it. So.
Yeah, I didn't take one, but that was a calculated decision based on the fact that there are J-term courses that I'm going to look at doing next year, but I'm wanting to have a bit more under my belt by way of the core classes, so that I could get the most out of them whenever that comes around.
Great. And both of our panelists here so happen to be in their first year of the program, but as both panelists kind of mentioned, you do have that flexibility to take a J term class even in your first year if you'd like Stephanie did, or of course wait till your second or third or fourth year depending on how long you stay as far as that. Now Stephanie, when you took that esports class, did you take time off work, or were you able to fit it in with that?
I was able to fit it in. It was a bit crazy. And the J-term classes are meant for everyone, so they're not necessarily, in the evenings. So, but this one was kind of during lunchtime. So I was able to get away and kind of worked with my work on being able to balance both. So I was able to do it. I don't think I would have been able to if it was a higher unit class though. Like I think I knew going in, it was 1 unit, maybe a little less day-to-day homework would have been the concern, because I was balancing work, attending class, and then being able to have to do the homework for a higher unit class may have been a bit unmanageable.
Sure thing. And I do know that most of the students who do a 2 or 3 unit class during J term do take kind of vacation from work for that couple weeks, just so they can focus just on that class as it's, just how it's designed for that. And again, these are totally optional classes. You don't have to do these, but the J term would be a pretty packed schedule, as Stephanie was saying, if it was more than 1 unit, but possible if you're doing a 1 unit potentially. So anyway, so thanks about that. So that's about our J term optional classes. The next question is, he's first thanking both of you on the panel for your insights, and then the question is, any recommendations for those on the panel about the application process and submission?
I can go first on this. I think thinking back to the application process for myself, I'd been considering this for quite a while. So I was quite immersed in the environment of applying to law school, albeit not for JDs. There are lots of books out there. There are lots of people you can talk to. And I think throughout the application process, the key thing for me was that it solidified why I was doing it. There was nothing that I came across where I thought, this, is this completely tied in? So I'd say don't lose sight of that through the process. Okay, a lot of it is you know, ticking certain boxes and admin kind of things, but don't lose sight of that while you're going through it. And try and enjoy it. I think the thing that I really liked when it came to the interview part was that it was like a little taste of what it was going to be like. And again, thinking ahead to what I was going to be doing, I liked how that was. So yeah, don't lose sight of that throughout the process, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree with everything Matt said. And I think, you know, as you're thinking about why you're doing this program, I think that's a great element to add, like in your application, in any of your submissions, because obviously, you know, UCLA will want to know why the program would be relevant to you, and that you're kind of on the same page with some of the other cohort here. So I would say just, you know, justify why this program's going to be additive to your professional growth, and yeah, just do the work, and it'll be good.
All right, very good. And as a little plug there, we are having an application tips webinar coming up here, which we can put the link to register for that in the chat pretty soon here. And that's coming up soon. If you're interested in hearing a detailed kind of walk through the application process and tips for each of the documents and items to submit as well. So, okay, great. So then the next question is regarding admissions deadlines. Is there only one in the year during April? And the answer is there is only one incoming class each year. So it is in August. And so thus, if you're looking to start this year, this is the time to apply. So we're April 25th is that application deadline. And so that's kind of what we're looking at this point. The next application deadline would be a whole year later for the next August incoming class. This is I mean, there's plenty of time at this point, over a month to apply. And one of the tips that you'll hear next week is just chip away at it. So get that resume up there, get that transcript order, just kind of plug away. And some people kind of schedule out doing a document at a time. Other people just knock it all out. But just make sure you're making steady progress, and before you know it, you'll be done as far as that's concerned. So anyway, that's the admission deadline and how it would work. Now, Matt did mention interviews. So all finalists for admission are interviewed for the program, and you can expect that we're currently on rolling admission. So if you submit your application at any point, it'll go right to admissions committee. So if you're a finalist, you'll basically probably be interviewed within a couple weeks of submitting your application at any point now. So a lot of people just kind of want to just know how they're going to do, and so they thus applying earlier is better, because the longer you wait till the end, then that's the more the applications grow for us, then the longer it'll take to actually be interviewed if you're a finalist. So that's as far as the timing. The question is, what's the acceptance rate for the program? So we don't know how many applications we're going to receive, of course, this year, being the third year of the program. But for last year, actually the first couple of years, for every one person accepted, there's always just, let's say, about one or two people who are rejected, as far as proportionality is concerned. So that's kind of what we're kind of anticipating for this year as well, but we're not quite sure yet. Thank you so much, and hope you have a great rest of your day.